Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. Bunpon Vanatits, Director of Accounting Regulatory Department, Ms. Dafun Tongchan, LCPAA President, Mr. Sonsai Silapat, AFA President, Mr. Forafit Jantanakul, distinguished presenters, panelists, moderators, and guests, AFA Council members, representatives of our members' organization, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor for me on behalf of the International Federation of Accountants, or IFAC, to be here today at this important gathering of regional experts on IFRS in the CLMV jurisdictions. I appreciate the opportunity given to IFAC by our organizer, the ASEAN Federation of Accountants, or AFA, and also the Lao Chamber of Professional Accountants and Auditors, or LCPAA, to address you and highlight our effort to contribute and to promote the development of and adoption, implementation of high-quality international standards, including IFRS. The conference focused on the adoption and implementation of IFRS in the CLMV jurisdictions is very much relevant to our ongoing effort in building the capacity of our member bodies, especially in developing economies such as Cambodia, Lao PDR, Myanmar, and also Vietnam. Capacity building and adoption in implementation of the international standards are complementary to each other. Previous distinguished speakers have mentioned about challenges in implementing IFRS, and I think we agree that implementing IFRS is not sufficient. We also need to build the capacity of PAOs to be able to develop their capabilities so that they can implement IFRS substantively. You will hear more about IFRS from my colleague Tanya from IFAC in her presentation following this address on IFAC's role in supporting adoption and implementation of international standards, including some of the common challenges in adoption and implementation of IFRS. Allow me to take this opportunity to set the context for her presentation and highlight IFAC's perspective on adoption and implementation of international standards and capacity building. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, adoption and implementation of international standards such as the IFRS Accounting Standards and also the IFRS for SMEs Accounting Standards is crucial for regional capacity building, particularly on the development of the region's financial reporting ecosystem. These standards, as also mentioned by previous speakers, ensure that clear and transparent financial information is produced while enhancing comparability, credibility, consistency, and relevance for decision-making. Adoption and implementation of IFRS facilitate the comparison of financial information globally, foster cross-border investments and activities, as well as accelerate economic growth. In the private sector, they promote confidence in the markets among investors, while in the public sector, they enhance management transparency and accountability. The use of these standards are an essential pillar of the global financial architecture. IFAC believes that high-quality, internationally accepted standards add value and credibility to the accountancy profession that serves public interests if the standards are consistently adopted and also implemented. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, many jurisdictions all over the world adopt IFRS and other international standards because their quality, legitimacy, and impact are assured through active, purposeful consultation and a strong public-private partnership that stress public interest. In fact, with the support of IFAC and also its member organizations, many jurisdictions have made progress adopting international standards and best practice. In the case of IFRS, 95% of the jurisdictions represented by our member organizations have adopted the standards for all or most public interest entities. This, of course, includes some of the ASEAN jurisdictions. Adoption and implementation of both IFRS accounting standards and also IFRS for small medium enterprise accounting standards are varied in the CLMV jurisdictions. Some of them have have used the approach of full or partial adoptions, as well as some jurisdictions that are still moving towards its initial adoptions. Each approach brings its own challenges and to stakeholders in the jurisdictions, including the professional accounting organizations or PAO. Support from international policymakers and regulatory organizations, along with leaders from government, academia, business, is needed to extend the adoption success story by creating the right conditions for implementation. As a global body for the profession, IFAC recognized that adopting and implementing international standards is hard work, and the process often requires years of advocacy, public educations, outreach, and coalition building. I would like to highlight a particular example of our support to the CCPAP as the Accounting Association in Panama, in Central America, in promoting legislative reform for the accountancy profession in that country. Following over 10 years of support, including multiple discussions with the government and also with other stakeholders, finally in 2021, the law on the accounting profession in Panama was approved, addressing major regulatory gaps and adopting international best practices. Securing stakeholders, particularly government supports and also buy-in, is very important to establish a sustaining adoption and implementation effort. This, in addition to strong PAOs with capacity to support their members' development in technical expertise, are key ingredients for a successful adoptions and implementation of the international standards. Engaging regional peers to continue creating a more robust regulatory environment in each jurisdiction is essential. IFAC is committed to supporting the adoptions and implementation efforts, especially in priority areas that have lower rates of full adoptions. To help PAOs conduct a gap analysis and prioritize actions in the adoption and implementation of standards, IFAC has translated self-assessment checklists, among others, include quality assurance review systems, international education standards, investigation and discipline system into 5 languages, Arabic, French, Portuguese, Russian, and also Spanish. I would like you to visit our website, www.ifac.org, and browse the many development resources available through our network of 180 member bodies and also partners. I'm certain you will find some that would be relevant in your organization's capacity building and development journey, or in your jurisdiction adoption and implementation effort. Ladies and gentlemen, adoption of IFRS is essential for establishing a high-quality financial reporting ecosystem. However, merely adopting IFRS while not ensuring that IFRS is fully implemented will not bring about benefits expected from the adoption, as I and also previous speakers explained. Thus, we need to ensure that IFRS is complied with and also fully implemented. Proper compliance with standards require professional competencies of the accountants that prepare financial report and provide external assurance on the reports. This is where IFAC and our member bodies, the PAOs, are playing an important role in ensuring international standards on education, international standards of auditing, international code of ethics for professional accountants, quality assurance, and also investigation discipline system. All of them are properly adopted and implemented. These are the key elements of the 7 IFAC Statement of Membership Obligations, or SMOs, that I believe would contribute toward establishment of a high-quality financial reporting ecosystem. IFAC recognized the important role of AFA as a regional body for the ASEAN PAOs in facilitating capacity building of its member organizations. Strengthening of the PAO's capacity to better serve their members and stakeholders is a prerequisite for creating an ecosystem that supports adoption and implementation of the standards. Strengthening the PAO's capacities involve, among others, as follows: improving the governance of the PAOs, building up organization culture, organization structure, infrastructure, resources, and core competencies of a capable and successful PAOs that sustain international standard and code of ethics, as well as promote quality of service and also ensure accountability. These measures assure PAOs to serve and function in the public interest. To facilitate members of AFA in enhancing their capacity, in year 2021 and also 2022, IFAC and AFA collaborated on a series of 7 workshops focusing on fulfillment of the requirements of the 7 IFAC SMOs that I mentioned earlier. By demonstrating success factors for meeting IFAC membership requirements, the workshops aim to showcase how successful fulfillment and commitment to the IFAC membership requirements could strengthen the relevance and reputations of the PAOs. PAOs walk away from the workshops with a greater sense of their responsibility for adoptions and implementation, and how their actions and initiatives support and shape their members and the overall profession in their respective jurisdictions. One of the key challenges identified under SMO 7 on financial reporting is the inherent complexities and difficulties in implementation of IFRS for small and medium enterprises by MSMEs in several ASEAN jurisdictions. I'm certain that this is also a common issue for many stakeholders in the CLMV jurisdictions. So I very much appreciate how the second half of today's program is dedicated to IFRS for SMEs Accounting Standard. MSMEs play an important role as the backbone of ASEAN's economic growth and development. As highlighted by President Mr. Forafit earlier in his address, almost 99% of ASEAN's 70 million businesses are MSMEs. So adopting and implementing a global reporting framework in the form of the IFRS for SMEs Accounting Standard would help ASEAN MSMEs, including businesses in the CLMV, to have a wider access to finance. I look forward to hearing from our experts today on how we can tackle some of the common challenges in adopting and implementing the standard in CLMV. I'm certain that their insights will further enrich IFAC and AFA's understanding on how best to support and facilitate our members' organization capacity building, as well as to identify the kind of resources required by ASEAN accountants to better understand the standards. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by re-emphasizing the importance of capacity building of the PAOs to facilitate a successful and sustaining adoption and implementation of international standards such as IFRS. Mutual sharing and learning opportunities such as today's conference is one example of how we continue with our collaborative effort to build our region's collective expertise in understanding IFRS. I'm truly excited with the program and lineup for today's conference. I trust that you will benefit from the combination of international presenters and also regional experts that will share their valuable perspectives and insights into adoption and implementation of IFRS accounting standards and also IFRS for SMEs Accounting Standard. Please allow me to thank once again our organization, the AFA and LCPAA that organized this event, and also for the opportunity to address you and participate in this conference. We look forward to continuing our excellent collaboration with AFA as one of our valuable network partners to build the capacity of accountants in ASEAN. Thank you very much. Thank you.